Lewis and Clark, Gates of the Mountains, Montana. After finishing the portage route, I cruised south on Highway 280 toward the Gates of the Mountains. On this 90-minute drive, the Montana landscape unfolds like a living canvas. Rolling hills give way to jagged ridgelines, and the distant cliffs begin to come into view. I know I'm approaching something special, not just a geographic landmark, but a chapter of the Lewis and Clark exhibition history etched into stone. I'm heading into one of the most breathtaking chapters of the Lewis and Clark Trail. The Gates of the Mountains is where nature decided to go full drama, and Lewis gave it a name worthy of the spectacle. Named by Meriwether Lewis on July 19, 1805, who wrote, "This evening we entered much the most remarkable cliffs that we have yet seen. I called it the Gates of the Rocky Mountains." Once I arrived near the Gates of the Mountains Marina, I walked from my car into a quiet terrain with information signs about the Gates of the Mountains. I wanted to read about the local landscape, but I found myself face to face with a statue. It's titled "Tribute to the American Hunter" by Jim Dolan. Jim Dolan is a Montana-based sculptor whose work has become a kind of visual folklore across the state. He is a celebrated metal sculptor known for transforming steel into lifelike wildlife and creative figures that adorn the landscape of Montana and beyond. Jim Dolan has created over 170 large-scale public sculptures and thousands of private pieces over a 50-plus-year career. Dolan welds steel, brass, and copper. He often adds humor and personality, making his pieces feel alive. His work is deeply inspired by Montana's natural beauty and rugged spirit. His work ranges from realistic wildlife, elk, horses, eagles, to abstract art. One of his most iconic installations is the Blue Horses, a herd of 39 steel horses grazing on a hillside near Three Forks, Montana, which we will see next in Three Forks. At the Gates of the Mountains near Helena, Montana, you can take a scenic 2-hour boat tour through towering limestone cliffs along the Missouri River, a route once navigated by the Lewis and Clark expedition in 1805. I cruised aboard the Sacagawea, skimming across the Missouri River beneath towering limestone cliffs. The canyon rose around me like a fortress carved by time, its shadows cool and silent. Wildlife thrives in the same rugged terrain that Lewis once called the most remarkable cliffs we have yet seen. From the water level, I could feel the scale of discovery. I plan to take the boat tour through the canyon, where the cliffs still tower and the river still whispers history. The Holter Dam, built in 1918, raised the river level by 14 feet, changing the landscape but not its majesty. Lewis and Clark couldn't find a place to camp for miles. The cliffs were so steep, there was barely a spot to rest a foot. Springs burst from the rocks, and the river carved a path just wide enough for their boats. The area is now a high-potential historic site on the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail. You can see dramatic rock formations that appear to open like gates as you approach, just as Meriwether Lewis described in 1805. This ride is a must for anyone following the Lewis and Clark Trail. It's like floating through a living chapter of their journey. Meriwether Lewis was awestruck when he entered the canyon on July 19, 1805, describing it as much the most remarkable cliffs that we have yet seen. His journal entry paints a vivid picture. These cliffs rise from the water's edge on either side, perpendicularly to a height of 1,200 feet. Every object here wears a dark and gloomy aspect. The towering and projecting rocks in many places seem ready to tumble on us. The river appears to have forced its way through this immense body of solid rock for the distance of 5¾ miles. From the singular appearance of this place, I called it the Gates of the Rocky Mountains. These cliffs rise from the water's edge on either side, perpendicularly to a height of 1,200 feet. Every object here wears a dark and gloomy aspect. The towering and projecting rocks in many places seem ready to tumble on us. He described the river as having forced its way through this immense body of solid rock for the distance of 5² miles. With no place to rest a foot for the first 3 miles, springs burst from the rocks, and the current was strong but navigable, with oars, cords, and setting poles were useless in the narrow gorge. What Meriwether Lewis said when he saw a bighorn sheep high in the rocks, saw a large herd of the bighorned animals on the immensely high, and nearly perpendicular cliff opposite to us. They walked about and bounded from rock to rock with apparent unconcern, where it appeared to me that no quadruped could have stood. Mann Gulch Fire, 1949. A tragic wildfire in the gates of the mountains. Wilderness claimed the lives of 15 smoke jumpers. Chronicled in Norman Maclean's Young Men in Fire, it reshaped wildfire science and safety. The Mann Gulch Fire was one of the most tragic and transformative wildfires in U.S. history, particularly for the Forest Service in the field of wildfire science. It unfolded on August 5, 1949, in the gates of the mountain's wilderness. A lightning strike ignited the fire in Mann Gulch, a steep, narrow canyon along the Missouri River. 15 smoke jumpers parachuted in from Missoula to fight the blaze, joining James Harrison, a fire guard already on the ground. As they moved downhill toward the river, the fire spotted ahead of them, cutting off their escape route. Lewis concluded, "From the singular appearance of this place, I called it the Gates of the Rocky Mountains." It's one of only 17 place names from their journey that still appear on modern maps. Inside the Montana State Capitol, murals by Charles M. Russell and Edgar S. Paxson capture key moments from the journey, including Sacagawea's recognition of her homeland. Helena is the only Lewis and Clark County in the U.S. surrounded by the same rugged forests the expedition once crossed, now known as the Lewis and Clark National Forest. Next stop, Helena. It's just a short drive from the river, but this city offers something special, a place where the Lewis and Clark story is honored and brought to life.